Good morning, my dear friends and neighbors. We are here at a beautiful home in Culver City, California, a city that's very near and dear to my heart. We are the Hull Brothers Roofing Company, and my name is Chuck Jewett. This video is a part of our continuing consumer awareness education program, and it is a big consumer alert. You really need to take note here. Now, we're doing this program because we believe that the more you, the consumer, know about roofing, the easier it will be for you to make an educated decision when choosing a roofing contractor. So here's a little history on this particular property. We are going to start a re-roofing project today. This house has just closed escrow, and prior to that close of escrow, the buyer asked me to come out and do a physical inspection of the roof. The buyer had already gotten some information from the home inspector that there were problems with the roof, particularly around the metal edging and in some areas where the shingles had fallen off. We also had some information that the house had a history of roof leaks and roof repairs. When we first arrived, what I noticed was that the roof did not appear to be in really bad condition, so we were kind of put between deciding whether we should propose a re-roofing or propose a repair. All of this bearing in mind that we have a brand new owner coming in and taking over the property. Well, what I found with just a basic inspection of the roof was that the roof construction, the contractor that built the roof, it was all low bid work, and there were defects to the installation that could not be corrected. And basically what we found was the roof was completely non-merchantable. Now, non-merchantable means that, yes, the roof is up there on the house, and yes, it may be keeping the water out right now, but this seller could not sell this house with this roof to the buyer, and here's the reason why. The roof is defective, and now the buyer takes over the property. If that buyer, the new owner, wants to turn around and sell the house, he has just inherited 100% of the financial liability that was passed on to him from the first seller. So what we want to do is, at the time of escrow, is get all this information out to the buyer and the seller and let them work things out. We're going to show you some of the problems up on the roof, show you what makes it defective, and show you how to avoid these type of problems. Okay, well, we are up on the roof now, and taking a look at the shingles here, I recognize them to be a very common type of roof shingle. They're sometimes referred to as a 3-tab shingle or a 20-year warranty type of shingle. Now, their appearance is not too bad, and again, we're back to this problem of what to propose to the buyer. Should we tell them this is a roof you can keep for a couple years and do repairs on and maintain it, or should we say, no, this is a roof that is no good, you need to get all accounts settled right now? So again, looking at the roof, it's certainly not the worst thing I've ever seen, and it was then up to me to kind of walk it through, do the invasive investigation, find out exactly how it was built. And we have the ability to do this just like an autopsy, and what we found was that it was a defective roof. So we're going to take a look at the various problems and get an overview of what's up here. One of the first things I noticed when I came up the ladder to do my inspection of the roof was the detail right here at the drainage eave of this roof. And I noticed that the roof line did not go down diagonally. What I saw was that there is a swale created right here at the drainage line, and we don't want that. When water runs downhill off the roof, over the edge, the shingles provide perfect waterproof. Anytime water runs downhill but hits a swale like this, you can go horizontally across the roof, it goes under the shingles. And you can see the mud that's under the shingles here. Very, very wet right now, and we need to find out what's going on, why this is happening. So to tear off the shingles, what we do see is a long-time history of water going underneath the shingles, because again, it hits the swale and goes horizontal. Once the water goes under the shingles, you've got a waterproofing problem. So let's take a look underneath. these first starter reports here. Now we're seeing what the problem is. From the very first day this roof was installed, the low bid contractor used the wrong type of edging metal at the eaves. As a result, water has been going under the roof at the eave lines. It goes under the shingles, and here where we have a seam in the edging metal, it actually goes underneath the edging metal. Here, the water is able to get all the way to the roof sheathing. You can see the large amount of mud that's accumulated. Now, why was that used here? That's a good question. Was it really a matter of cost? The cost of this metal and the cost of the correct metal are basically the same. So we now start going to the competence of the original roofing contractor that installed this roof, probably under a low bid condition. Now, this problem is pretty significant, but is it enough to throw the entire roof away? Is it enough to call the roof completely defective? Is it enough to make the seller of this property give money to the buyer to take care of the defective roof? Okay, let's go to the next problem then. Take a look at what's coming up. Okay, we're going to try and show a close-up of this seam in the edging metal and what has been going on since the day the place was built, the day the roof was built. So, Gino, why don't you point to the gravel guard and the seam, and you can see the water damages in the wood. All that dirt there was accumulated when the water was washed under the shingles. You do see the damages in the wood. Now it's time to take a look at the overall installation of shingles and try and figure out exactly how these were installed. Again, trying to provide the buyer and the seller with the best information about what's sitting up there on top of the roof. When I do inspections, I'll check for the fastening of the roof and try to determine if the fastening has been done to the manufacturer's specifications. So we start lifting up the shingles and we start looking for nails in the shingles. So this shingle, I see there's one nail here, but the nail's in the wrong spot. The nail should be down here. So let's see how many more nails are in this shingle. There's nothing. No nails. Let's keep going. Okay, so what I see is there are 2 nails in the shingle. Now, the manufacturers require that you use a minimum of 4 nails in the shingle. Here we've got only 2 nails in the shingle. We did a random sampling of all the roof sections and found that at the most there were only 3 nails in the shingle, not the 4 that are required. Number 1. Number 2, the nails are in the wrong location, whereas they should be along the manufacturer's nailing line. As a result, these shingles can be lifted off by hand. This makes the roof completely defective, and we stopped right here and went down to talk to the buyer. In the end, what happened here was that the seller had purchased a terrible, defective roof. At the time of escrow, they were forced to provide compensation to the buyer, and in effect what happened to this seller, taking the low bid, they basically bought the roof twice. Well, good afternoon and welcome back to our re-roofing project here in beautiful Culver City. We have a beautiful single-family home that we're putting a brand new roof on. I'm off the roof. I found a nice shady spot. It's been a long, hot summer and I'm glad to be in a shady spot. The question is, how did the seller get themselves into this situation? How did the seller find themselves down the road here, because they've lived in this house a very long time and the roof may be 15 or 17 years old. How did they get themselves into this position? Well, the reality is we'll probably never know how that happened, but I've got a guess, and here's the guess. The contractor that installed the roof was the low bid, okay? The low bid. This contractor was so desperate that they could not even afford the time or the money to put in 4 nails, so they only were putting in 2 nails, and there were all these other errors. But here's the bottom line. It's my opinion that it was the low bid, and from my 21 years of experience, I have seen the greatest problems with roofing and consumers. It has always been where the consumer was dealing with the low bid contractor. This individual probably finished this roof, collected their money, and got out of town. So then the question goes to, how do consumers protect themselves from low bids? Well, there are basic and well-known consumer advocacy groups such as the Contractor State License Board, such as the Better Business Bureau, and the Federal Trade Commission, okay? And if you go to all three of their websites, you're going to find huge warnings, huge disclosures about the problems with low bids. So as a part of my continuing education program for consumer awareness, where I try to provide the consumer with as much ammunition as they can possibly use to help them determine the best contractor, the best bid, the best way to spend their money. We have gone to the effort here of providing a document that you can download from my website. It is a simple document. It's just called 16 to the point questions. Now, this document is not 16 pages of reading, but it is 16 pages of very pertinent and relevant questions that you can ask your contractors as they present their bids. Some of the questions are very, very basic, but we find that many consumers don't even do this type of basic investigation. But the questions would include, do you have a current contractor's license? And of course everyone is going to say yes, but what we direct you to here with this questionnaire is we try to get you to go and check on their license, which is free. You can do it online at the Contractor State Licensing Board. What you will find is pretty horrifying, because there are lots and lots of contractors right here driving up and down the streets every single day and giving bids to people, and it turns out that their licenses, their record with the Contractor State Licensing Board is pretty poor. In some situations, the contractors have had more than one license, and this means that for whatever reason, they've had licenses that were canceled or were expired or revoked. And you may be dealing with a contractor that's had as many as 5 different licenses, and that's very easy to find on the Contractor State License Board website. I've had 1 license, okay, and I have to bid against these people all the time. But the other thing consumers can do using our 16 to the point questions is ask simple questions, even basic questions such as, where is your place of business? I've been at my place of business for 52 straight years. You may find that some roofing contractors are actually working out of a rented garage or a rented home, and they may be changing addresses quite often. I can certainly be found being 52 years at one address, but there are other simple questions you should look into, and they're listed here, such as very simple things such as, do you have referrals? Can you provide referrals? So the bottom line and the intent of this video is to bring to your attention the extreme financial consequences that can occur when dealing with low bids. And in this real life situation in Culver City, I am not, this is not a phony video, this is not a phony situation with phony facts. This is a real life situation in Culver City where a seller has suddenly incurred a huge out-of-the-blue bill in regards to a rotten roof that was built by someone 15 to 17 years ago. And now the piper is being paid, and they are coming up with money out of their pocket, out of their equity to pay to the buyer. And it is our intent through this continuing consumer awareness education program to provide you with these real-life situations, help you make your own decisions. We are the Hull Brothers Roofing Company. My name is Chuck Jewett, and thank you for watching this video.